Hi guys, welcome. Welcome to the live stream. Let me just make sure my settings are all good actually. Should be okay. Yes, welcome to the live stream. Going through some pairs of interest as usual. We'll go over a little bit of data that's dropped, and yeah, we'll go through some ideas and what we're going to look at in terms of strength and weakness and whatnot. I'm just monitoring a couple of positions at the moment. I've been Kiwi CAD long for a good while now, and I'm looking to potentially either exit this position or manage this position in any kind of way at the moment. We've just had some good CAD data drop, so yeah, I want to kind of look to manage that position. Brett, welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you're doing well. Vincent, good afternoon. I'm glad that you're well. I'm doing really well, thank you. So yeah, I'm actually going to be analyzing the charts via a different kind of platform today. You probably can see that it looks a little bit different. Let me just go over full screen with it. Probably something you haven't seen before, but this is actually something brand new that Blueberry are pushing out here, and it's the VIP trading room. And yeah, I'm going to show you a couple of little features of this while I'm doing the live stream today. But this is what I'm going to be using to break down some charts of interest. And yeah, I'll show you a little bit of sort of what's going on behind the scenes here at the moment. And if you've been a Blueberry client in the past, you probably will have some form of access to this. So if you have, then make sure you log back into your client portal and have a little look. Hi, Justin. Hope you're doing well. Hi, Royston. Hope you're doing well too. Thanks for joining me today. As always, guys, any comments, questions, any kind of charts you want me to take a look at, I can. I do also have my MetaTrader open above. So if there's any kind of markets that I can't pull into this system here, then I can have a little look at it up there as well. So that's not a problem at all. Afternoon, right, guy. So let's dive in then. So I'm going to take a look at euro dollar first, just to kind of give you a little bit of a overview of the platform first, just in case it's something that you are looking at and thinking, what is that? Basically, it is our own sort of VIP trading room. We've got lots of sort of discussions going on. If you're very familiar with Discord, you're probably going to be very familiar with what's going on here. You can see down the right hand side here, for instance, that there's different types of trading discussions or channels here, and they've got that familiar sort of hashtag look about them. So that's something that if you are familiar with Discord, that's something that's going to be very sort of familiar to you. But yeah, basically, this is a community for our traders. So we've got trading discussions here. We've got the chit chat tab. This is where people can share their ideas, discuss their ideas in the community. We've got sort of setup ideas as well. So people, again, can talk through their setups and what they're looking and what kind of markets they're looking to be involved with. We've also got sort of gold news and different types of news outlets. So if you're looking at different types of news regarding to different types of currencies, then we have some information on that. And obviously we've got the charts, which is a pretty cool feature. So for instance, you know, we could look at a potentially, if we're interested in euro dollar, we can view other people's analysis. So if I look here on the right hand side, we've got some people posting their analysis and how to kind of, you know, what they're kind of thinking about on the market at that point. People can ask comments and questions to this as well as they go. So if you are interested in that, there are webinars running, and if you are a Blueberry client, then you'll be able to access those webinars. So just want to let you know what that platform is before I dive into it, in case you're looking at it thinking that, you know, it's some kind of weird platform. It's just an online platform that we are currently using. So Yeah, enough of that. Let's get into the charts. Sorry, Vincent, question. I read that on Blueberry is now one of the liquidity providers for my funded FX. I don't know too much about that, to be honest, Vincent. I don't know too much about that personally. Royston, I'll be interested in your thoughts on KiWiCAD. I closed this long trade earlier. I think it's building into a long-term bullish trend. I see a demand area around 81.72. Yeah, I got long into this. I actually got a very poor entry, I'm not going to lie, into this market. I entered at 82.46, so I'm only 72 pips up at the moment. I was a lot more up. I think it was around about 95, 96 pips up. But that's kind of fallen away at the moment, and I'm just kind of looking at the hourly chart, to be honest. So let's kick off with KiWiCAD. Let me I have to bring in a new chart here. So give me 2 seconds, and let's just discuss KiWiCAD on a fresh chart. So I'm just going to bring down MetaTrader so you can see that, so you're all familiar with MetaTrader. But yeah, let's break down KiWiCAD because I am long this market at the moment. Basically, we had this sort of long-term sort of trend development here. We had like a nice rally to the upside, and then price was kind of working within this bearish channel, and we breached that channel. So I was looking to see if price would continue to the upside. This kind of coincided with some strength and weakness as well. Kiwi was getting stronger, CAD was getting weaker. So again, what we want to do is just kind of break down the market and have a little look at these areas where buyers have come in the past. So let's just have a little look at these type of areas down through here. So I kind of agree with the idea of there's a potential for a big sort of trend to develop here. The reason being is because obviously we've breached this bearish channel resistance, haven't we? So for me, there's definitely an option for us to potentially see a continuation. And what's quite interesting is usually when we get these kind of patterns where prices rallied, consolidated, and rallied again, it can often go in the direction of when it came into that kind of price action. So you can see here, obviously, we had quite an aggressive rally to the upside coming into these swing highs. So will price follow what it's done previously? There's a good potential for that. There was some good CAD data today, some good CPIs and things like that, so we've got to take that into consideration. What I would say is I want to see price breach key areas of support and resistance first. I won't just think that because price has done this in the past, it's going to do that again. We need to obviously stay a little bit vigilant of what's going on with price from a sort of week-to-week, day-to-day perspective. But at the moment, I'm kind of looking at these two types of areas. We've got this area up here, which is around about the 84 handle, which is something that I'm currently looking to target. My target is actually 83.90 at the moment. That's my current target for this market. But 8400 is in and around this sort of zone. I could probably get away with 84.25 as the sort of highs, but you know, I want to be the sort of first man out of this potential move. And you can see this breach down here, which was quite interesting to us. We've obviously breached this key area as well, which was down towards that 8200 level. Let me just pop that in so you can see that. So yeah, my theory basically is that we've traded outside of these swing highs in here and that we could go and seek the next sort of area of resistance. So I'm currently long looking to get towards that point. My stops are at break even, so I'm kind of happy with that. But I'm looking to see if we can obviously trade up a little bit towards this 8400 swing high. It just makes sense for price to go and target those kind of areas. Now, price may pull back before going to that point. That's my worry here. Like I said, I didn't get the best entry on this. Let me just plot the entry that I've taken for you so you can see it on the chart. I actually entered on a break above a 50 moving average. So if I just insert the moving average here, the 50 moving average, my entry was actually all the way up here. Okay, so I didn't get the best entry into this market. To be honest, what I would have liked to have done is try to enter down towards that 8200 or down towards these swing lows, because the theory is obviously if price is going to change trend at this point, we should see higher highs and higher lows forming. And what we had was this kind of double bottom down through here, and then price obviously breached that, and then we've continued to push to the upside. So I would like to obviously say that I didn't get the best entry into this market. This was more of a momentum entry. I wanted to see if essentially that momentum could that drive prices higher, and it didn't. It actually came into this swing high and pushed to the downside. So yeah, not the best entry if I was kind of looking back at it in hindsight. I would have looked to definitely more towards these swing lows down through here, where you can obviously see buying started to take place, especially this being an hourly chart. So what I'm kind of monitoring at the moment is these current swing lows up here towards the 8,300. What I don't want to see, for one, is price obviously breach and make a lower low. But for two, I don't really want to see price close below the 50 MA. When we get a close below the 50 MA, it could basically lead to a potential for a little bit of a reversal in the market. So I don't really want to see that right now. I want to see price try and continue to make sort of higher highs and higher lows. Obviously, we've had the sort of initiation of the American market coming on board, and that kind of drove prices to the downside. So whether that's a bit of a push before another kind of move, that's going to have to be something we just kind of assess here. But still long here at the moment. We'll see if that can continue. Sorry, I've just got a message here, Vincent. Let's have a look. Tried accessing the VIP group, but I saw some prices. Yeah, so basically it works on a lifetime account balance at the moment, because this is still very new at the moment. If you've had a lifetime balance of $1,000 plus, you will get access to the VIP trading room, and that is lifetime. That's not over sort of like it's not you have to deposit $1,000 immediately to get access. It's overall. So if you are interested, then maybe have a look at that. I don't know whether there's any plans to change that at the moment. Like I said, this is a very new platform that we're working with at the moment. So I will let you know if there's any changes to that. But yeah, that's kind of breaking down Kiwi CAD in a nutshell, Royston. I think you're right in terms of if price was to kind of breach this 8,400, then it's about where does it go to next? Does it come up into the sort of next area of resistance towards the 85s, and do we get to these kind of, you know, I think the ultimate goal would be if price was to continue into a long-term bullish trend, can we get anywhere near the 88 handle or the 87 sort of 50s, which would be this high that formed back here, which was the high. If we just pop that on there, the high that formed back in December of 2022. So that's what we're essentially looking to see. Will that play out into a bigger trend? I think, again, if you're trying to jump on the trend here, then it's about trying to just, you know, manage your risk and manage the sort of, you know, the market from a trend perspective. Obviously, my stop is at break even now. It's a little bit vulnerable to a pullback, you know, because we could see price pull back into these kind of swing highs here before seeing that kind of continuation, essentially. So I am going to keep a close eye on this, to be honest. But yeah, there could be a good move to the upside potentially coming up. Right, guy. New Zealand Swiss to the upside if it breaks 0.5380 with momentum. Let's bring on Kiwi Swiss. Kiwi Swiss is definitely another one that I'm looking at the moment to see if we get any kind of upside momentum. I think 53.80 is those current daily swing highs, isn't it? So yeah, I like the idea of a break of that for sure. We were very keen on Kiwi Swiss a couple of weeks ago, actually, weren't we? We were looking at the fact that we had this kind of diversion going on between price and the stochastic oscillator. Not a huge fan of, obviously, you know, too many indicators and stuff, but I like indicators from a higher time frame point of view. They can often be quite good to look at from a higher time frame perspective. A very similar kind of situation going on here. I like the idea of price coming up towards this 5,500 area, and we've recently kind of found support down towards these lows. So if I just mark these up, so that's 5,500 in there. And then we've got 5,200 down through here. And price is kind of working its way between these 2 points at the moment. And that's what I'm trying to look for. Can price maybe head towards this 5,500 level at the moment? I tried to get long in and around this area here. That didn't really work out. Basically, because of that strong bullish candlestick, I was looking to see if price would drive up into that move there. But we didn't really get a decent opportunity. If I go to the 4-hour time frame, you know, my theory is that if price is going to start pushing back to the upside, we should start to see higher highs, higher lows, maybe even price failing at prior lows. That's why I always say look at a low where we've found some decent support in the past, because price might find support there again. We were getting signs that that might potentially happen, but we didn't really make any successful higher highs here. Price then continued to drive to the downside. This was a big sign that we could possibly see some buying momentum coming back into the market. Very large bullish candlestick driven by news, and price obviously rallied to the upside. The way I would have looked at this if I was trying to go long at that particular time was I probably would have drawn a sort of zone down towards where that buying initiated from. That's quite easy. We can see that with that large wick there. And then I would have looked to see any kind of changes in trend around about these lows in here. So you could look for hourly double bottom patterns, things like that. You could even refine this on the hourly, to be honest, down towards that wick in here. You can see on an hourly chart, that's quite a large sort of swing in momentum. And then we've kind of come all the way back down. Nice little breach of highs there, higher high, higher low, and the market has took off. So I actually agree with you here, Argo, because if we're going to see the momentum continue to push to the upside here, we're going to need to see some breakouts, I think, because we are currently coming up into this level in here, which are sort of a key swing high. And we also have the level up here towards that sort of 53.80, isn't it? So I would mark these levels up quite keenly there. So yeah, maybe 53.90 we'll get away with there. And then let me just copy this down. And currently we've got this sort of 53.70, 53.80 zone that's developing at the moment. So I think for me to be long now, I need one or two things to happen. I need price to either be back down towards these swing lows here, or I need price to kind of breach through these levels and give me sort of a sort of trend situation where we can get that kind of pullback and then look for an opportunity off the back of that. But Kiwi's looking pretty decent from a strength and weakness point of view at the moment. Let me bring on the strength meter in a second. Just a couple of questions floating through. Brett, John, do you trade any indices such as NAS, $30, US 500? Every now and again, I will go and move on to the indices. I think we were looking at the NASDAQ last week. That kind of breached through the swing highs. I was kind of looking to see if we'd get a rejection of those swing highs. We didn't, and price has kind of breached through. S&P 500, yeah, we had a little look at that a while ago, actually. I really liked this large support zone due to a large area of volume. And yeah, we ended up looking at a long on that, which would have played out really nicely. But yeah, I do kind of look at them, but they're not something that I look at sort of to trade, essentially. I look at more of the sort of sentiment behind it. Afternoon, Bongo. Hope you're doing well. You're welcome, Rago. Have you looked at dollar Swiss? If not, please add it to your list. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go. We can have a look at dollar Swiss. No problem. Let's have a little look. I should probably do this on the Fancy Do platform, eh? Let's have a little look at dollar Swiss. Don't think I've been on dollar Swiss for a very long time. It might be confusing switching back to platforms, but let me just make my settings the same. This is new for me as well, guys. So can I have that as no background? Yeah, cool. Okay, right. Let's have a little look at dollar Swiss. We can obviously see parity was a big point earlier. This is a weekly chart, by the way. I just noticed that creating that as to white is really going to be a problem. Border coordinates. There, you can see that a little bit better, actually. I might as well keep it orange. Okay, so dollar Swiss, obviously weekly is looking pretty bearish here. Swiss franc gaining some strength potentially against the US dollar, or just taking advantage of this current dollar weakness that we're going. Dollar index at the moment trading around about that 103 support level. I can see obviously price paused this week before continuing to push to the upside, but again we found resistance at these key swing highs here. Nice breach to the downside of this low of 88.86 though, which is quite interesting. So maybe there's a potential to move down towards this 86 handle. Let's have a little look at the daily chart. Daily chart. I can see there's a potential area of support there. What I'm looking at is obviously that kind of area. Let me just see if that does coincide with what I'm looking at on MetaTrader up here. The reason we're still working out some kinks for this as well, guys. So I just want to make sure that everything kind of matches up to what I'm looking at. Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a supporting zone coming in around this area here. We can see that price has obviously had a bit of a push up, pause, and then rallied quite considerably to the upside. So that area in here would definitely be somewhere where I'd expect maybe a little bit of support to come in. If we breach this zone, there's going to be obviously a different zone to look at, which would be down toward this kind of 88 handle. 87.50s. Around about that zone down through here. Okay, so if I zoom into that, you'll be able to see that a little bit better. So maybe there's some potential there. Let's go check out the 4-hour time frame. Let's see what the 4-hour time frame is looking like at the moment. It's not looking particularly bullish, is it? Very aggressive move to the downside, consolidation, aggressive move, consolidation. Are we going to see another move down towards the 87.50? Maybe a bit of a change up there. When I'm looking for like reversals in the market, when price comes into these kind of support and resistance areas, you know, you want to see sharp rejections away. I think if you don't see a sharp rejection from a point of interest, then you've got to be a little bit worried about what price is going to do at that area. I was in a trade last week with dollar yen, and dollar yen basically rebounded from a level of support. I managed to take 50% of the position off. I just thought I'd leave it open though to see what it did. Price came all the way back down and then started to consolidate like this. And that to me is a big no-go. I think, you know, why can't buyers step back in where they've stepped in previously? That's got to be a concern. So that, and then price breached lower, but I exited my position before it did, which I was very thankful for. But yeah, that's what I'm kind of looking at here. I can see aggressive selling coming in. Price makes its way back up to the level where the sellers kind of entered the market. Aggressive selling again. Buyers have just really failed to step in at this point. So for me, dollar Swiss is probably one that's looking a bit more vulnerable to a push to the downside. Let's actually bring in the currency strength meter. Let me just bring that up. Wherever it may be. Here we go. Bring it up with the meter as well. Coming back to StreamYard. Right. Sorry, I can see a couple of questions here. Vincent, do you still see the US going into a recession? That's a good question. That's a good question. I think there's been a lot of talk of recession for a while, and we've not really seen it. I think the plan, so to say, is kind of everything's going to plan essentially, isn't it? At the moment, we've seen the fact that we wanted to see a reduction in the in sort of inflation rates, especially in the US. Inflation rate has come down quite considerably. We're only now starting to really see the rises in unemployment, and obviously the employment rate changed slightly. But if Denise was in here, I don't know where Denise has been recently, but hopefully Denise is okay. If Denise was in here, I'm sure she would tell us that what was going on in the jobs market firsthand. But essentially, I think at the moment it hasn't quite got to that point where that recession is going to kick in yet. I think it depends. There could be a situation where it was the 70s, wasn't it, where we had an increase in inflation. We then saw the sort of policies put in place where inflation was brought down, and then it shot off again because it almost kind of dampened that inflation a little bit too soon. And maybe we'll come into a situation like that again. I think if we do, then that's obviously a conversation we can have. But for right now, I don't see a sort of hard recession anyway, just yet. Another question, John. I've created a strength meter based on your video. It'd be interesting to see what your view of the currencies are this week so I can compare them to what I have. Thanks. Okay, perfect. Leads me straight on to this, Brett. So this is the strength meter that I change up every week. So I look at the sort of what happened last week, what are the sort of outcomes of this week, and then I notice the change. So I can see here, for instance, that the pound was a weakening currency last week. Obviously, this doesn't mean that it's going to follow through into this week. It just gives me an idea of what's happening. I can see that the Australian dollar was a stronger currency last week. So maybe my thoughts are going into this week that pound Aussie could move lower. And that's actually something I featured in this week's week ahead analysis video. I'm actually just going to bring up pound Aussie because I don't know where it's gone. I know that it was approaching a big support level, which it looks to be sitting at right now. So I can bring that one in a minute. But yeah, essentially we'd be looking for potential shorts on pound Aussie. I can see that the New Zealand dollar is a weak currency, but in a reversal zone, which is interesting. And the same with the yen. So the way I'd be looking at the strength meter right now, again, I just kind of make a strong and a weak side. I'll put a line down the middle, just create a little table. And I can see that euro is strong, okay, because it's got +5 here, okay. So basically you make like one sort of area here, and then you can make like a reversal one as well. Reversal, strength, and weakness, right? Now, anything that's kind of +5 and above goes into a little reversals area for me. Anything that's sort of -5 and below goes into a reversal zone for me. And I'll show you why on the currency strength meter in a second. But just from the weekly change, I can see that the euro was not necessarily getting stronger anymore, but as being a strong currency. I can see that the pound has been a weaker currency. I can see that the Oz has been fairly strong. Kiwi, a weak currency. Yen, a weak currency. So that's how I'd kind of look at that going into this week. Reversals then. So reversal basically are swap sides, and I have a little look at the potential for the market to reverse. So anything that's kind of, like I said, anything that's kind of +5 and above, I'll note down as something that's getting sort of weaker, potentially reversing that strength into weakness. Anything that's weak, potentially reversing that weakness into strength. I can also see, obviously, the Swiss franc is getting stronger here as well. So there could be some ideas to look at sort of the potential for that Swiss franc to continue to get a little bit stronger here as well. So let's have a look at these types of markets then from the currency strength meter point of view. Now, what I like to look at is just, or what I like to focus in on is anything above this line, okay, or that box, and anything below or in that box there, okay, because quite often when they get into these kind of areas, we can see a reversal. So for instance, I can see that Kiwi and yen are entering this area here where I can expect now the potential for them to get stronger. So that's why I'm looking at the potential for Kiwi to get stronger. I'm also looking for the potential for yen to get a little bit stronger at the moment, which has been happening. Yen has been getting stronger this past week. Opposite to that, I'd be looking at Aussie. Okay, Aussie +7. So Aussie had a blinding week last week. And, you know, if that's going to continue, then, you know, we should see it continue against those weakening currencies, or it could start to reverse and you get that kind of reversal idea coming through there. The other one is Euro. Okay, so the ones that we can kind of focus in on this week, you know, kind of looking at the potential for Aussie, Kiwi. Now, this is from a reversal point of view, right? So if Aussie is strong and Kiwi is a weak currency, then you expect that market to move to the upside. But from a reversal point of view, we could be expecting the short, okay? And then you've got Euro Kiwi, okay? From this, you'd be expecting the long, but from a reversal point of view, looking for the short. And this just gives you ideas, right? It doesn't mean that you go to these markets and you do just jump on them and you buy and you sell. You know, it's not about that. It's just giving you a way of reducing those 28 pairs down to a few pairs in focus. Okay, so Euro Yen, is there a potential for that market to continue to the upside or reverse? Okay, have I missed one out there? Aussie Kiwi, Aussie Yen. Is there a potential for Aussie Yen to continue or reverse? Okay, so that's the way I kind of like to use the currency strength meter. Anything in the middle, I try and ignore. I like to look at where those extremes are and then come to it and see if we get any kind of action in and around those points. Okay, so those would be the sort of markets I'd be focusing on. So let's go take a little look at those. Let me just actually bring a notepad up first and I can keep. Let's actually put it in the chat box so we can remind each other what markets really we should be looking at. Euro Kiwi, Euro Yen. I tried to actually make that a little different then, but that didn't happen. Aussie Kiwi, Aussie Yen. So they're in the chat box. Those are the ones that we can go take a look at. So let's go and do that now. I'm actually going to bring him back in MetaTrader because it's going to be easier to flick over on that. Okay, so let's go check out Euro Kiwi first. And this is purely from the reversal side of things. Euro Oz, Euro CAD, Euro Swiss, Euro Pan, Euro Yen, Euro. Am I blind? I can't see that. Oh, here we go. So remember, the potential for Euro Kiwi this week was to go short. Okay, and we can see that from the start of this week. No, that's yesterday. Sorry, if I go to the 4-hour time frame, from the start of this week where we opened here, we are down 200 pips. Okay, so the market would have said there's a potential, or the currency strength meter would say there's a potential for this market to either continue or reverse. So what we need to do then is come to our charts and analyze that market. You know, what is happening in this market? Is the market in a trending condition? Is it not in a trending condition? Is it in a range? What is it doing, basically? And that's where our technical analysis comes into play. Now, the first thing I would have noticed is this zone up here. Okay, so there's obviously an area up here where price is rejecting. I'll just grab a label. And then what I like to do is just round it up or down to suit the sort of quarter numbers, half numbers, whole numbers, you know, psychological levels. So I can see that 82.50 has obviously been an important level recently. We've rejected it. We've come back in, rejected it again. and then we've tried to come back into this area on Friday, and we've started to reject it. So that's something I'd note down. I'd also note down where support is, so I can see that support is down through here. This swing low on the daily. I'm going to refine this in a moment when I go down to a lower time frame. But essentially, I'm just going to try and refine and look at areas where the market has turned. Okay, just keep it really simple. 178.86. I'm going to go 178.75 and see how that looks. That's in the zone. I'm going to apply one here, 179.78. So that's quite easy. Round that to 75. And then it's about building a bigger picture, right? So if I'm looking to say, okay, well, this market I can see is ranging between that 1.8250 and potentially this 178.75. I can see that last month we had a nice rally to the upside. If price was going to breach this high, it could probably come up into these swing highs in here. Okay, so I'm going to look to see what happens if price comes to an area of resistance. Do we see price hit resistance? Does it move to the downside? So again, you can come down to your 4-hour time frame and you just got to map out those different types of areas. Now, we might have been a little bit unfortunate with this market, to be honest, because although price pulls away here, I wouldn't necessarily be looking at the Sunday open to get involved. So, you know, I would be essentially looking from a 4-hour perspective anyway, for price to come back into this high to get short. And it didn't do that. Price didn't make it back to that level. So this might be one of those where we have to chalk it up that we missed that potential move. But it can set me up for a plan with the rest of the week, because if I think the market is now taking a hold of that bias of that reversal, then if price finds support in here, it could find resistance somewhere else to trade through that level, right, to get to the next support point. Okay, or we just look to short back down to that area of support. So if we do find support down here towards this 179.75, where would price likely come back to? And for me, it's back to that swing high, right? Back to that area where selling has took place previously, because that's where I'd want to be short, right? I'd want to be short there because I know that I can see it physically on the chart. Sellers have got in at that point. So I want to be looking, and obviously I could go into the fact that you could use volume analysis and footprint charts, things like that. But if you were to kind of dive into that, it's the same sort of process. You're going to highlight areas of support and resistance, and you're going to see if buyers and sellers start to enter at those different periods, right? So what we could have done is maybe go to the hourly time frame and see if there was any kind of opportunities where, you know, there was a bit of demand or support or resistance, sorry, from the hourly. Again, kind of looking at this, I wouldn't say there was too much. The only thing we could probably argue the fact is that the open price of the week was at 182, which is a psychological number. Price has come back into it. It's rejected it. So there's that situation there. I would probably look to see how price would react if it did come back up into this zone in here. If price got to here and we saw like a double top pattern, a head and shoulders pattern, anything to suggest that sellers are starting to get back involved, then that could be something you look at going forward. Would I get long? Probably not. Seeing the sort of momentum, but obviously, you know, we can look at it in those two ways of either Euro Kiwis following that sort of reversal bias at the moment, or it's going to continue with the overall bias. So you've got to be careful. I think if I was short, this is where I'd bail. This is where I'd exit my short positions. And if that's the case, are other traders going to do the same? And if they do, will that then give us an opportunity if price was to trade back higher? Okay, to try and make that move there essentially. So Euro Kiwi looking pretty good. Hopefully that made a lot of sense. If not, let me know. I can waffle sometimes. I can also see there's big support coming down through here. So on the 16th of November, we saw quite a decent sort of rally out the market, and we're back at that area now. And look at the reaction from buyers. You know, doesn't look like buyers are getting aggressive here at the moment. So we'll have to see if that does start to breach this zone in here, which would obviously be a little bit more bearish than bullish, in my opinion. What was the other markets? Euro yen. Euro yen. Probably looking euro yen short, right? From the strength meter reversal situation. Now, last week we were already seeing signs that the yen was getting a little bit weaker. Now, I had a really good trade on euro yen. I think it was about 3 to 1 in the end. I took out of euro yen from this move in here. I decided to take my position off because I didn't like the fact that we were so kind of oversold. Now, oversold conditions aren't something I usually take into consideration, but the market has moved such a long way that I'm expecting a bit of a pullback. And you can see that on the weekly chart. You know, the other weeks we were getting kind of closes above the sort of high of the candles. You can see there. The last week we didn't really get like a strong close into that level. And we also have to take into consideration where dollar yen was at that time. Dollar yen was at a resistance level. So, you know, if I go to dollar yen here, this level up in here where we had the rejection, and then it was kind of stalling around about that 150, 140 before continuing to push to the downside there. I am kind of looking at dollar yen in a way. I'll come back to this, but euro yen is obviously going to be heavily influenced by that yen market. And again, you want to look at these in sort of context as well. If I just open the market watch tab here, something that you want to do every now and again is understand what's the driver behind the market. Is it actually the yen, or is it something different? Is it the euro essentially? Because we always have to remember that when we trade in euro yen, we are technically trading euro, US dollar versus dollar yen. Okay, and essentially what we want to see for euro yen to move lower is euro dollar move lower and euro yen move lower. Okay, so that's the picture we want in order to be a seller of this market. So what you want to do is identify what is the driver behind the market. And the market watch can do this. It's a little bit harder to do than if you, like, let's say you're using like TradingView and things like that. But what we can do is just scroll down to the currencies and just have a little look at how each yen pair is performing. So I can see here Aussie yen is down. I can see CAD yen is down. Swiss yen is down. I can see euro yen's down. Pound yen down. Dollar yen down. So just from looking at those, not even including Kiwi yen, so we can tell Kiwi strong actually because it's the only one outperforming the Japanese yen at the moment. All the others are down against it. Okay, and the weakest of those currencies is the US dollar. Okay, the second weakest is euro. Third weakest is looking like it's CAD. Okay, so that's another way you can tell if you're on the right side of the market. Essentially, is what currency is driving what forex pair, right? If you clump them all together, you'll be able to see that, and that's what we can see there. Can see all the different net changes here, right? So I know that there's a potential for euro yen to continue to push to the downside. So one thing I want to do then is look at this weekly, see where price could potentially go to, you know, just point out something that's really obvious to you, those highs there, these lows, for instance, and then just refine them. Okay, come to the daily chart. Let me take the period separators off and just refine where those potential areas come in. Now, obviously, sorry, I can see a question. Sorry, Brett. John, do you have a time frame that you use for your directional bias, Mia? I looked at only trading the direction with the daily time frame. Yeah, that's really good, Brett. I kind of combo the weekly and the daily up. As weekly is my favorite. Okay, the weekly is my favorite, but weekly and daily I like to kind of combo them up a little bit. I like to see that the daily chart is closing in the direction of my weekly bias, essentially. But I can see here, right, price aggressive rally to the upside. We've had a pullback continuation. Okay, that to me would be an area of support because whoever was long here has had to either reposition, okay, or they're looking to add in at that point. So this zone down through here looks to me like a good area for price to go and target. Now you may think, well, we're missing out on quite a large move here. already. But this is where we can go to those lower time frames and have a little look at those support and resistance levels, and you can start to see. One of my favorite things to do is look at the sort of phases in a market, right? So if the market is in a bullish trend, you should see phases like this, okay? So let's say this is the weekly, right? We just grab a different colored pen. On the H4 and below, really, you should see the market making higher highs and higher lows, right? And then lower highs and lower lows on the retracement phase. And then the impulse phase, you should see higher highs, higher lows, right? Now, what we're trying to look for is if price is in that sort of secondary phase, let's say it's come to an area of resistance and we're looking to maybe see price target that low. What I would expect is the market to make lower highs and lower lows. That's the same situation we've got here, right? You can see this was the impulsive phase in the market. Price was making higher highs and higher lows, okay? It's not always the prettiest picture. It's not as easy as looking at it like this, but that is the sort of gist of it. What I can see now is that we're definitely in that sort of secondary phase now, because the market has made a lower high, lower low, lower high, okay? So we need areas, or to spot areas where this could potentially end and that trend could potentially continue, because we've got to understand that we're trading against the trend here, okay? So what I'll be looking for now is areas where selling took place, and I'll be looking to see if price comes into those areas. Do sellers try and jump back onto the market again? So for me, looking at euro yen here right now, I'd be looking at in these areas here. 162.40 looks like a good area, you know, up at that area there. Selling came in, the market's pushed to the downside. So just those turning points, really. I want to know if at these turning points, do sellers get involved again? And if they do, what should I be expecting from the market? You know, from an hourly perspective or even a 30-minute perspective, I should be expecting price to push back into this level here, form a double top or a change of trend and continue lower. If price breaches and moves to this zone up here, maybe we're going to see the same thing, going to breach back to the downside. So euro yen looking pretty good. I'd be looking to sort of look at this area down through here as a potential for price to come back in. Quite like that consolidation in there, to be honest, as an early sort of target anyway. So yeah, euro yen looking pretty good as well. Does that make sense, guys? Hopefully it does. Rago, yeah, that makes sense. No worries, Brett. Hopefully that answered your question. Just keeping an eye on Kiwi CAD here. Come nearly back to the high. Starting to see a bit of a rejection again. Right, guys, I didn't even realise I've been going for 50 minutes. Usually I have a little bit of a cut-off point at that point. Any more questions before I end it there then, guys? If not, I will leave the stream there today. We're back on Thursday, so if you have any questions on Thursday, then we can have a little chat then as well. Yeah, I'm going to leave it there for now. I've got some other videos to attend to, but thanks for joining me today, guys. Really appreciate it. If you do have any questions, then save them for Thursday, or you can leave a comment on the recording after on YouTube. So thanks for joining me, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who commented today. Brett, thank you for joining for the stream for the first time. Thank you, Vincent, Justin, Royston, Rye Guy. I didn't see Spoiled Kit. Sorry. Thank you for joining the live stream. Bongo, thank you again, as usual. And yeah, have a great day. Thank you, Dennis, as well. So yeah, thank you. Have a great rest of your evening. Thank you, John. And I'll catch you on Thursday at 2 p.m. GMT. Cheers, guys. Thursday, sorry.